every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Omotayo Alo. In our major news tonight, President Muhammad Buhari begins a 2-day retreat for ministers designate. Also in this program, lawyers representing Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Code of Conduct Tribunal walked out in protest. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it is adequately prepared for governorship elections scheduled for Kogi and Bayelsa states. And from outside Nigeria, a bomb has killed at least 5 people and injured 15 others in the northeastern Lebanese city of Arsal. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. President Muhammad Buhari is hosting a 2-day retreat for ministers designate in Abuja. The retreat is to prepare the 36 incoming cabinet members for the tasks ahead of them. Speaking at the opening the retreat, President Muhammad Buhari emphasized that diversification of the nation's economy remains the priority of his administration. He also wants the incoming ministers to prepare to work for Nigeria. State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole has details.
These are the ministers designate having a first feel of the presidential villa even before their inauguration. They have converged on the State House banquet hall for a 2-day retreat to prepare them for the task of governance after successfully scaling the screening hurdle of the Senate. Addressing the 36 incoming cabinet members, the president harped on the vision of his government at diversifying the nation's economy from oil. This he says the government hopes to do by investing in agriculture, mining, and other sectors, which according to him is in line with his electioneering promises to Nigerians.
My election as president of this country was hinged on my promise to tackle corruption, insecurity, and revive the economy.
President Buhari also expects the ministers designate to roll up their sleeves and hit the ground running immediately portfolio are assigned to them.
The expectations of Nigerians are high. Our determination to succeed and change the fortunes of our country must be equal to the challenge.
The theme of the presidential retreat is delivering change from precept to practice. Judging by the theme of this presidential retreat, the ministers designate must roll up their sleeves by assisting President Muhammadu Buhari in actualizing his change promises to Nigerians. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
Lawyers representing the Senate President Bukola Saraki staged a walkout at the Code of Conduct Tribunal in protest against the tribunal, who refused the adjournment of his trial pending determination of an appeal at the Supreme Court. Tribunal Chairman Danladi Umar held that a submission by defense counsel for the tribunal to suspend trial until the apex court had concluded on the matter had been overtaken by a new Administration of Criminal Justice Act. This prompted Saraki's team of lawyers to stage a walkout describing the ruling as judicial rascality. Correspondent Basil Okafor presents this report from our studios.
Saraki arrived at the tribunal at 9:45 a.m. accompanied by a group of senators and supporters. When the case was called, he mounted the accused box. But defense counsel Mahmoud Magaji asked the tribunal to adjourn the case pending the determination of an appeal at the Supreme Court. He argued that when a matter is before the highest court in the land, a lower court has to cease to hear it. Another defense counsel, Ahmed Raji, maintained that the tribunal should not wait for a Supreme Court order to stay proceeding on the trial. But the prosecution counsel, Rotimi Jacobs, urged the tribunal to dismiss Saraki's application on the ground that a stay of proceeding is not in conformity with the Section 306 of the new Administration of Criminal Justice Act. After an hour break, Tribunal Chairman Danladi Umar upheld the prosecution's submission that the trial should continue. This did not go down well with defense counsel, who staged a walkout from the tribunal.
By the authority of Achebe versus Mbanifor, AG Ondo State versus Fafunwa, the Court of Appeal said it needs not to have a date. The mere fact of the fact that you are aware of the pendency of an application in higher court in a matter that is before you robs you of that jurisdiction to entertain that suit. You have to wait for the outcome of that, not to render nugatory what is pending for the Supreme Court. It's the highest court of the land. I cannot be party to judicial rascality. This is my constituency, which is the legal profession. I must protect the sanctity of courts.
Saraki, who was left alone in the dock after the lawyers walked out in protest, pleaded to be given time to seek legal advice. The tribunal chairman subsequently adjourned till November 19th to enable the Senate President get another legal representative and for continuation of the trial. Reacting to the protest, the prosecution counsel, Rotimi Jacobs, alleged that the accused person has been trying to truncate the trial.
We must not allow them to open this case. We must not allow evidence to be given. That's just the intention. So, but at the end of the day, all this process will be fully exhausted and there'll be nowhere to go rather than to go on with the case. It's just a question of time.
The next adjourned date is about 2 weeks away, and it seems to be seen whether Saraki will hire another team of lawyers to defend him.
The Senate has denied shutting down its activities because of the trial of Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. It says it adjourned plenary to Tuesday, November 10, to give lawmakers ample time for all the legislative duties. Correspondent Basiaye filed on this report.
On a normal day, the Senate's chamber should have at least witnessed a few nays and ayes at this time of the day. But this is not the case, at least on this Thursday, which is supposed to be the last day for plenary sittings. This is the third time in 2 months that the seats from that of the President of the Senate to those of the principal officers and the other senators will be empty on a sitting day. There are speculations that the break may be because the Senate President has to keep a date with the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Many cite a text message said to have been circulated among senators on the need to show solidarity with Senator Saraki. But the official reason is that the break was to enable the various committees holding meetings conclude their work and submit their reports when plenary resumes.
The Senate is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 10 November 2015 at 10 a.m.
There were, however, little or no indication that committee sessions were holding in hearing rooms at the Senate wing of the National Assembly complex. On the contrary, many senators were seen at the tribunal where the trial of the Senate President resumed. Although no further opinion could be gotten on the one-day break, the question still remains whether this recurring action by the lawmakers in the Senate is constitutional or acceptable. It is, however, noteworthy that there is a constitutional provision that stipulates that each chamber of the National Assembly must sit for a minimum of 181 days in a year. Basiaye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And such matters.
The Independent National Electoral Commission says it is adequately prepared for the governorship elections scheduled for Kogi and Bayelsa State later in the year. It also disclosed that it is taking steps to train election observers and other stakeholders ahead of the elections. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu said this at the public presentation of a guidebook on the 2015 Kogi and Bayelsa State governorship elections, put together by a civil society group. The election monitor, Professor Yakubu, was represented at the event by John Irim, the director at the commission.
Different stakeholders, such as members of civil society, INEC officials, election observers, and journalists, were in attendance at a public presentation of the 2015 Kogi and Bayelsa Governorship Elections Observation and Research Guide. The document was prepared by the election monitor and it's meant to guide stakeholders and observers on pre-election information that will enable them reach better conclusions. The manual also contained database of articles relating to political events in the two states, as well as updates on all governorship candidates. It also has a comprehensive SWOT analysis on the situation on ground in the two states.
There are certain recommendations from the 2015 elections that we think INEC should inculcate in the Bayelsa and Kogi elections. One is that the area of card readers, they should be clear about the guidelines, which states that you are only to use card readers, and if they fail, you use it the next day. But it doesn't say you revert to manual accreditation. So we want to be sure what is INEC's position on card reader use. Is it going to be used irrespective of whether there's failure or not, or will they revert to manual accreditation along the line? So we need to be sure about the INEC policy.
The INEC chairman spoke on plans for deployment of adequate security arrangement during the election that will stem the tide of electoral violence, as there have been spate of violence prior to elections. Professor Yakubu, who was represented by John Irem, added that permanent voters card and card readers will be readily available in the two states.
The Commission is doing everything possible to make sure that it takes the balloting instruments to Nigerians in Bayelsa and Kogi states. And the Commission is also doing all in its power to make sure that they have no excuse. Nobody has any excuse to perpetrate violence in that election. It is when the process is perverse, that's when you begin to have violence.
INEC has made it clear that the forthcoming election in Bayelsa and Kogi will show an improvement on previous elections and are prepared to ensure that all necessary logistics are in place ahead of time.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode on Thursday said the agri-business sector remains one of the most viable areas that the federal as well as state government must begin to pay serious attention to boost its revenue generation in the wake of dwindling oil prices. Governor Ambode, who spoke at the 4th European Union and Nigerian Business Forum 2015 holding at an event center in Lagos, said the harsh times in the oil sector and its attendant impact on government revenue makes it imperative to look inward for creative ways of growing the economy of the country and boosting gross domestic product. To this end, it said the agriculture sector serves as a ready alternative source of revenue generation not only to government but also to individuals and private organizations through the various agro-allied value chains. He commended the organizers for the theme of the year, unlocking opportunities for diversification, saying it was apt as it would afford participants to focus on addressing the obstacles to the effective development of the agricultural value chain. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Stay with us.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you. One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, through total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Because some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, it's CoreTV Primetime News. Here is a quick reminder of our top stories. President Muhammad Buhari begins a 2-day retreat for ministers designate. Lawyers representing Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Code of Conduct Tribunal walked out in protest. Also, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it is adequately prepared for governorship elections scheduled for Kogi and Bayelsa states. Also, for more of our news and information, visit our social media platform, facebook.com/CoreTV News, Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. You could get more on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space and news. The Kwara State Operation Controller of Department of Petroleum Resources has sealed off 6 petrol stations for different malpractices. The recent growth in fuel scarcity has been escalated by different marketers in Kwara State by ordering and selling above the regulated price. Rashid has more.
The Kwara State Operation Controller, Salvation Phillips, who led the enforcement team, told journalists that this particular filling station was sealed off because of threat to life of officials of the department by the management of the filling station when they were visited, and that they also sell at 120 naira per litre instead of the official price of 87 naira. Phillips, however, says affected station will be fined 2 million naira each with 2-month suspension.
As far as I'm concerned, that amounts to hoarding. They will intend to hoard it so they can sell at night. And DPR cannot abdicate its own responsibility and allow the little we have diverted for reasons best known to them. We cannot tolerate that. And that station will be sealed and will be suspended. In addition, for hoarding, they will pay 2 million later.
While reacting to allegation of attempted threat to the life of an official, the deputy director of this filling station denied the allegation, saying the officials or DPR came to disrupt the selling of fuel, and buyers who are aggrieved actually showed their anger.
Allegation in that said one of his staff said they threatened to kill him, which wasn't so. So when that staff came back, they came back after about 3 hours, and they wanted to seal the station. All that we were having at that time was just about 500, 700 liters. They thought the DPR executives want to stop them from buying, because they know that as soon as they seal the station, they will not be able to buy. So they are desperate to buy. You understand? They are desperate to buy. So when there's somebody want to stop them from buying, you know definitely they will react.
So the issue is with the customer.
It is the customer and the dealer, not the station.
Are you saying that the ceiling of this
is very, very unfair?
The DPR, however, advised filling stations to adhere strictly to the dictates of the law. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Members of a local gang called Sarasuka members, numbering about 20, have attacked and injured one Mohammed Yusuf in the Ugwanrimi area of Kaduna metropolis. Government spokesman Samuel Aruwan said in a statement that the timely intervention of the security patrol team restored law and order in the area. Victims of the attack have since been rushed to the hospital for treatment. He added that surveillance teams have been deployed to the area to forestall any breakdown of law and order, while investigation is in progress to apprehend the perpetrators of the crime for possible prosecution. A joint security team have recovered 174 animals from suspected cattle rustlers in Kaduna and its environs. Government spokesman Samuel Aruwan said in a statement on Thursday that troops acted on a tip-off and swiftly rushed to Lebere Bush in Kajuru local government area of the state. The recovered animals comprises 145 cows, 20 sheep and 1 donkey. He added that on sighting the security team, the rustlers took to their heels. The government spokesman noted that investigation is in progress to apprehend the fleeing rustlers, while the animals are to be conveyed to the State Distribution Center. The Nigerian Association of Women Journalists Lagos State Chapter has brought a petition to the State House of Assembly concerning the enforcement of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015. The act, which was signed in May this year, provides a legislative and legal framework for the prevention of all forms of violence against vulnerable persons, especially women and girls. Sarah Yeku, who was at the scene, has more.
It is not news that there have been several cases of rape across Nigeria among women, children and even men. The Nawaj today staged a protest march to the State House of Assembly seeking the support of the lawmakers.
You know, this rape thing and violence is not only about women. Men are also victims. They also fall victims. So we want domestication of that particular law. Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, Prohibition Act 2015, to be domesticated in Lagos here, and for the lawmakers to ensure, for the state government to ensure enforcement of that act.
Responding to their petition, a member of the State House of Assembly explains that there are already laws against the act of rape. More so, she promises that there will be an implementation of these laws.
That there are laws in place in Lagos State. We have the criminal law of Lagos State, which definitely addresses the matter of rape. And the sentence for rape is life imprisonment. We have the Child Rights Law of 2007, which also talks about the rape of a minor. And the sentence also is life imprisonment if found guilty. So I want to assure you that we'll continue to do what we have to do as a state government, and we appreciate the fact that as we do these things, other states too will emulate and make Nigeria a safer place.
For the women journalists, there should be a workable structure in the executive arm of government to ensure that the laws set by the legislature are enforced.
So we need to have structures and we need to have specialties. Our police need to have a specialty that deals with sexual violated. Once the police officer said, we are trained to interrogate, not to interview victims. So there's quite a lot to be done. But I think Lagos State has enough good laws. We just reviewed their criminal law, and it's basically more of achievements in terms of prosecution that we need to see.
One can say that the feminist nature of Nawaj has inspired this protest against rape. But every person needs to educate their young and vulnerable people so that offenders like rapists are punished accordingly. Sarah Ayeku, reporting for CoreTV News.
Who are the enemies of the youth? Is it the youth themselves or the government and non-governmental institutions in the country? These were the purposes raised at the annual seminar of the Nigerian Integrity Youth Council, where scholars and youth activists come together to assess the role of Nigerian youth in national development. While it is posited that institutions have not been fair to the teeming youth population, others, however, opine that Nigerian youth are the architect of their own misfortune. The report.
The role of youth in nation building cannot be overemphasized. In a country where the youth takes 70% of the population, it is expected that the potentials will be harnessed, but reverse is the case. Today's guest lecturer, he affirms that Nigerian youth are the problem of themselves.
And ask, who is the enemy of the youth? The youth themselves. The youth themselves are the enemy of the youth. Farouk Lawal was part of those who destroyed this country. He knew so many things about them. He was courageous enough to bring up a report. But you and I, because we're given stipends, went outside there. We started challenging the outcome of the report. What are we saying? We are succeeding in telling the leaders that we are not yet ready to take up positions of responsibility.
Today's journalists and youth activists, Rashid, government and non-governmental institutions are to be blamed for youth redundancy.
This is not an action by accident. It is deliberate. These people knew quite well that when we get up there, this oligarchy will be broken. We are going to ask them questions. We are going to put them to book. We are going to make them face the wrath of the youth. And that is why everything is being done to suppress us, to oppress us, to make our voices not to be heard. We are not the enemies of ourselves. These institutions are our enemies.
These participants, however, suggest our potentials of youth can be harnessed for national development.
I do not think that opportunities will be there lying fallow for them to snatch. They should struggle. They should be creative. They should be entrepreneurial.
Virtue of what we have been, the gospel that has been preached to us so far, it is very clear that tomorrow we have a better future.
While the Muhammadu Buhari-led government promises the teeming youth various opportunities during the campaign era, the Nigerian youth, however, awaits earnest implementations of these electoral promises.
We live in a world where everyone sees towards the internet for information, research, business, networking and learning. Social media network connects people to one another. This is empowered by technology through Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp and many others. Our correspondent Natu Lavari has details. Social networking has both negative and positive impact, especially with the younger generations. The negative impact it has on these young minds include watching pornography, scamming people, gambling at the detriment of their studies. Time spent on the internet is supposed to be utilized in visiting the library to study and write assignments. Unfortunately, young people just surf the internet to get answers to assignments using the easy way out. A public affairs analyst says young people should utilize the internet for educational programs, not for fraudulent activities.
The ugly side of the internet contains so much information to the point where they will end up becoming even injurious and confusing to you. Then the bad side of the internet is that the internet is also a custodian of corrupt acts and activities.
For his part, a legal practitioner says young people should be monitored by parents or guardians to ensure that they don't watch corrupt materials on the internet.
Because the negative side is premised on who is in charge. If the children are in charge of the phone and they are the one doing the negative side, why can't the parent control it? Why can't the parent monitor what their children are doing on the internet?
Some young people share their likes and dislikes about the internet.
I don't like the level and rate at which people post nude photos, especially the ladies. They just post very nude photos that are bad for consumption.
Scamming people on internet, like this Yahoo of a thing. Some people scam people on internet using maybe like this pictures, fake pictures and information that are not genuine. It's even against the law of this our country and is against the law of internet.
What is bothering my mind is that about how people post private discussion on social media, and that's too bad of them posting private discussion on social media.
Be that as it may, the positive impact of the social media cannot be overemphasized, as it has become a vital medium for many young people to acquire scholarship opportunities and do online courses, participate in educational competitions, and get to meet role models for mentorship.
Of information that will help them to develop themselves in the form of probably scholarship information. You also have information about career. You also have information about job opportunities. So from that angle, you can see the good side of the internet.
With the emergence of social media, information sharing has become a lot easier. You can reach millions of people with just one update and create an online image positively or negatively. We will be back with business, foreign and sports stories right after this break.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
In business, President Muhammad Buhari on Thursday in Abuja approved the continuation of effort by the National Boundary Commission to achieve a significant expansion of Nigeria's maritime boundaries. The President gave the approval after being briefed by the Director General of the Commission, MB Ahmed, on the status of preparations for a submission by Nigeria to the United Nations Commission on the limits of the continental shelf. The President also approved the constitution of a presidential committee to oversee the conclusion of work on the submission, which could lead to the expansion of Nigeria's maritime boundaries from 200 nautical miles to 350 nautical miles, if approved by the CLSES. It therefore directed the Ministry of Finance to provide the funds required to conduct a geographical survey, which are essential for the submission. The police and the Nigerian Customs Service are keen on renewing their partnership on border security. This is part of the outcome of a meeting between Inspector General of Police Solomon Arashi and the Controller General of Customs, retired Colonel Ahmed Ali, at the Force Headquarters, Abuja. The visiting customs boss, who was accompanied by other senior officers of the service, used the occasion to seek police partnership in the area of information sharing, tackling border-related crimes, smuggling, as well as improving the revenue drive of the custom. A police statement quotes IGP Arashi as promising to improve on the existing level of intelligence sharing with the customs and to extend training opportunities to personnel of the Nigerian Customs Service. And from outside Nigeria, a bomb has killed at least 5 people and injured 15 others in the northeastern Lebanese city of Arsal. The blast, believed to be a car bomb, appeared to have targeted the Kuala Muslim Muslim Scholars Committee, an Islamic group mediating between Lebanon security forces and the Al-Nusra Front over the fate of kidnapped Lebanese security forces members. The Lebanese army has been unable to assess much of the Asal's interior, which is occupied by armed groups affiliated with the Syrian opposition. A security researcher and political analyst, Salam Zarin, who monitors the Bekaa Valley, where Asal is located, said the area is strategically crucial to the Lebanese army. Over the last 2 years, in areas up and down the border, including Asal, the army has clashed with ISIL, Nusra Front and other Syrian opposition groups seeking to expand into Lebanon. Russia has dismissed any theory about what caused the Russian plane crash in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula as speculation after British and U.S. officials said a bomb may have brought down the plane. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Thursday that only the official investigation can determine what happened, adding that any other proposed explanations seem like unverified information. Peskov also disclosed that Russian planes have continued to fly to and from the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, despite Ireland and Britain suspending flights. His comment came a day after UK Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said there was a significant possibility the crash was caused by a bomb. The US and British security sources, however, pointed out that they had reached no final conclusions about the crash, as forensic evidence from the blast site, including the airplane's black box, is still being analyzed. And in the world of sport,
our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball, storming, Muriel with a flying lead.
Bo taking them out in the lead immediately.
And in sport, Nigeria continues their quest for a fifth FIFA Under-17 World Cup title when they face Mexico in the semi-final. Emmanuel Amunike's words strolled past Brazil 3-0 in the quarter-final clash played at the Estadio Vina del Mar, while Mario Ortega's boys were 2-0 better than Ecuador. Mexico and Nigeria have tries before at the Under-17 World Cup with El Tri's only victory, a 1-0 win against the Golden Eaglets in Canada in 1987, with Carlos River getting the lone strike at Jack's Canada Game Stadium, St. John having stunned many with his breathtaking saves in the competition. Emmanuel Amunike will hand first-choice goalkeeper Akpan Udo the gloves once more against Mexico in what is likely to be an unchanged starting six, except for Funshaw Bangboye, who has been ruled out of this game due to card offense. For Mexico, coach Mario Ortega is expected to retain the same team that caged Ecuador 2-0 in the quarterfinal. The match is scheduled for 12 midnight. The president of the French Football Federation offered Karim Benzema words of encouragement after the Real Madrid striker spent the night in police custody in Versailles for blackmailing Mathieu Valbuena. The 27-year-old gave himself up for questioning and was charged with complicity in an attempt to blackmail and participating in a criminal conspiracy as part of an investigation into a sex tape plot involving his France teammate. Benzema was charged after being put before a judge on allegations he was part of a plan to blackmail Lyon midfielder Valbuena. But Neil Legret has stressed the FFF are fully behind Benzema as he remains innocent at this stage. Chelsea defender Baba Rahman has stressed the players are still fully behind Jose Mourinho in the wake of their 2-1 Champions League win over Dinamo Kiev on Wednesday. Mourinho's position at Stamford Bridge has come under scrutiny following a disappointing start to the season, with reports of dressing room unrest emerging in the build-up to the midweek European encounter. Willian's late free kick ultimately spared the Premier League champions blushes as they ended a run of 4 games without a win and Baba has stressed the players are ready to fight for their boss. And just before we go tonight, here is a quick reminder of our top stories. We told you earlier that President Muhammad Buhari begins a 2-day retreat for ministers designate. And also that lawyers representing Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Code of Conduct Tribunal walked out in protest. And finally, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it is adequately prepared for governorship elections scheduled for Kogi and Bayelsa State. On behalf of the entire news crew, thank you so very much for watching. My name is Omotayo Alo. Good night.